I am going to go share my screen. Please let me know when you can see what I'm sharing.
Yes, sir.
Can you see what I'm sharing now?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Achyutan Panduranga. I hope people in the I can see some of you in the back, but I'm not sure if you can all hear me okay. If you cannot hear me okay, please let me know. I'll speak out a little louder.
We can hear you clear. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Good morning, everyone, and a very happy New Year to all of you. Hope you all had a good New Year start, and I'm very happy to be here talking to you about some of the communication skills and in this orientation session to talk about an industry perspective. Uh, I'll briefly introduce myself. My name is Achyutan Panduranga. I go by Achyut. Um, I am the Chief of Staff with Hewlett Packard Enterprise in the Whitefield area in Bangalore. I have been in the industry for 23 years now, and I have varied interests, not just with respect to the work that I do at office, but also I'm keenly interested in generally developing communication as a skill across the board. I am an active participant in the corporate sector with respect to graduate hiring. We go visit campuses across the state and also across the country. We go visit the various engineering colleges, recruit students from there to our campuses. I'm also part of a few of the board of studies for a few engineering colleges in Karnataka and one in Shivnadar University in Delhi as well. I take care of the university relations of my organization, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And Mr. Arun sir called me up and we talked about providing an industry perspective of this communication as a skill. So I didn't want to spend a lot of time covering topics that would be covered in depth in the coming days. I just want to give a brief introduction, which I did just so far a little bit of myself. I wanted to cover a little more about the communication skills, the importance of which, and using language as a means, not as the end for communication. And I also see all of you in this room being the flag bearers or the leaders of taking this training into its fruition with all the students that will come on board in your classes and make them better individuals, entrepreneurs, and employees of the future. So this is all the content I wanted to share today. Um, as a general principle, if you have any questions, I cannot see you because I'm seeing the slides that I'm presenting. If you have any questions, please speak out. And if you are having any audio trouble while you are hearing me, or if any presentation, if there is any snafu, please feel free to stop me. And I'm more than happy to go over any content that you want to revisit on. Okay. That said, I'm going to move on to my initial content. Did you know about nearly 45% only of the communication that we do is verbal? Verbal meaning spoken and in the tone of the voice, right? Generally, we tend to talk about communication as a skill that is largely communicative through spoken language, but only nearly 7% of it is spoken. A lot of it is tone, and more than half of it is not even verbal communication that we do. So what happens to the rest? How are we going to build engineers, or how are we going to build employees of tomorrow who are able to communicate not just the 45% of which is verbal, through the language which is the carrier of that communication? And within that 45%, how are we going to ensure that the communication that happens through verbal means are also effective? So we teach technical skills, we teach skills with respect to how to do a job, but how do we how do we ensure that what the students have learned are taken further down in terms of effectively communicating that or being able to articulate that to the people that need to consume it, whether it is a customer who is taking a product from the producer, or a service from a producer, or even some of the solutions that we provide. How would we ensure that it reaches the end user and in a form that it meets the requirements or it meets the needs of that person? So that was the basis on which I was thinking through while I was working my way into building a set of content for the industry perspective on on the communication skills, particularly for this orientation program. My reference for this data is there's an Albert Mehrabian who has the 738-55 rule of theory, which talks about how much of a verbal non-verbal communication happens. This is just one reference because there is nothing very precise. This is an art, not a science. As most of you know, communication is an art. There is a lot of science to it, but predominantly it's also an art. And there are many studies which come up with different percentages and numbers, but nevertheless you should be looking at communication is not just about verbal, it is also tone, it is also non-verbal. So I'm going to keep that as my basis and talk about how we in industry are looking at things from how these can be better. When I keep talking about the industry, what do we mean what an industry is? An industry as such can be public, can be private. There are corporates, is what we call them in the real world. Corporates are there to serve their customers. How do they serve their customers? They serve their customers by bringing in products, by bringing in services, by bringing in solutions, right? You build a product and you sell it to the customer. To sell it to the customer, you need to have the product that is very relatable to the customer and also meets the requirements. But when you build a product or when you build a service, please note that it is not going to be a 100% compatible to every part of every sort of a customer that you would want. If you even just take the current mobile sets that you have, right? Each customer would have some unique need of how the mobile phone should be for them. So to be able to meet all the needs of any customer or many customers, one will need to understand them better. One, for needing to understand how the customer would want it, or how a product should be designed, you need to understand how they plan to use it. If you were to understand how they plan to use it, there is a necessary communication that is expected. You need to be sitting down with them maybe, or sending out surveys, ask them for feedback, how they are feeling about the product, or particularly when if you're bringing something which doesn't exist, something which is new in the market, then for you to be able to understand what would meet the needs of the customers, you would need to go understand the usability of the product, what kind of necessities exist in the market, things like that. To get there, again, you need to be able to understand the customers by way of exchanging information with them. The exchange of information with them is nothing but the communication aspects, right? The corporates are there to build products. They need to build the products which meets the customer needs. And when they have to build the products that meets the customer needs, they need to understand, articulate their product better. When they do all of these and you have a successful product, you make profits and you sustain your business and you grow your business, right? While you grow your business, you employ more people. When you get in more people into the organization, they need to understand how the products that you do are meeting the end user needs, or how a service that you provide is helping the customers in ways. When customers start using all of these, you get an insight on how they want to use it by way of, again, exchanging information with them through the many communication methods that you have, which will be part of the curriculum that will be dealt with in the coming days. And it will be part of the curriculum that the students will learn as well, which you will teach them. So while we do all of these things, there are things, right? We are humans. There are things that change around us. We as humans also change. So Nothing remains the same. There is an old saying by Heraclitus. For those of you who are very familiar with this Greek philosophy, Heraclitus was one of the philosophers who came up with this line. I thought I'll put this in because it is very relevant for this session. No man ever steps in the same river twice. Right? I wanted to leave it at that, but I just went and articulated the rest of his statement as well because it marks the completeness of it. No man ever steps into the same river twice. How do you see this? You can see this from two aspects. The first aspect would be the river that is flowing keeps changing, right? And as the river flows, new fresh water comes in, and so there is newer set of there's a newer set of water there. So the water has changed, so it's not the same river. At the same time, let's say the water source has not has dried out, or the water source is not changing. Let's say if it's a pond, for example, there again, the person that goes to the river, the person that went to the river the previous day may not be the same person that will be going there the next day, because we as humans change as well, right? So either the river is changing, or the person that's going is changing, or both of them are changing at any given point in time. So nothing remains the same ever. From that perspective, when we talk of all these communication skills, or the industry, or how things are, there is always a constant change that is happening in wherever we are, whether it's our personal lives, whether it's our industry, whether the people we work with. The same person may behave differently based on what new learning they gain during the course of the day. You talk at some part of the day, they may be give you a different response. At a certain other time of the day, you may get a different response. So change as such is very encompassing. It covers everybody, it covers everything, and we go through that on a regular basis. Why am I talking about change here when we are to talk about communications, right? When we talk of communicating, when we talk of exchanging ideas, we are exchanging our thoughts. When we are exchanging our thoughts don't remain the same. So you may have told something today based on some new learning you gain later in the day, or the next day, or the next week. Our thoughts will get refined, and as our thoughts get refined, our mode of expressing the same subject may vary as well. So from that perspective, understanding the necessity, ground necessity, or the fundamental necessity that things could keep changing, and our method of exchanging information could change as well, is also something that we need to keep in mind when we talk of an industry expectation in terms of how communication should happen, or how engineers of tomorrow, how employees of tomorrow should be in an organization. That's why I thought I'll put this out here. So going further from that, as things keep changing, what are the key needs in an industry, right? You are not looking at being you're not a charitable organization. You are looking at providing solutions. You are looking at coming up with outcomes or results which will help you sustain your business, which will help you grow your business. So the industry is an outcome based industry. It looks for solutions, it looks for outcomes. And again, the industry cannot survive by itself. It's not one person industry. An industry is a collection of different companies. Different companies are a collection of different sets of people. Different companies within them have different organizations, each have different belief systems, each have different value systems. So all these things are driven, you have to bring them all together by aligning the various teams, right? When you bring all the teams together and align them, getting the best of each individual is one of the prerequisites. To get the best out of each individual, it's like 1 plus 1 should not be 2. 1 plus 1 should be greater than 2. So the needs of any organization from that perspective is to get the best out of each individual, and making the collective sum greater than the individual parts that they come with. When you do all of these, you come up with an outcome based solution. You are driven by aligning all the teams, and you get the best out of each individual. Success will follow. Again, success is as much together as it is individual. So there are people who individually succeed, work together as a team and succeed, but there is a combination of both. And to achieve each of those, again, the backbone for all of these needs, or achieving all these great solutions, alignments, succeeding, the backbone of all of these are people. And moment we talk of people in an organization, every individual, every person is unique. Like I hinted upon in my previous slide, that change keeps happening forever. um, into each individual's way of dealing with things, each individual's way of comprehending what is told, each individual's way of understanding the language in which it is communicated are unique and different. So one person cannot do it. People have to communicate with each other, meaning there has to be a mode in which one message goes out and another person consumes that, and the understanding is developed. When the understanding is not developed, it has to be kind of renegotiated, and we achieve it. There are many such little things that need to come together, right? When people need to communicate, first they need to understand, align. There has to be an alignment. You and I are talking today because we are in a communication skills workshop. If you were in a different workshop, I was in another call, and I was going to tell you something which is not relevant to this, we wouldn't have been talking here, and you wouldn't understand what I'm saying, nor would I be telling you the right things. So there is a need to align between individuals, right? Once you start aligning, and when you start communicating, one needs to have a kind of an agreement in terms of how our communication is going to happen. We are going to sit in an environment where we are going to talk to each other. We are going to understand how things are going to be. If we agree, what are we going to follow next steps? All those are part of how we think and how we are to communicate that. When you are communicating that, there is the other aspect of articulating what you want to, how you want to do things, right? You may have 100 ideas, an employee may have multiple good ideas, but if the person is not able to put it in a form that is understood by the rest of the colleagues, and then a plan is made and then an execution happens, the articulation not being there will be a big stumbling block for taking things forward in an environment where a lot of ideas are shared. We right now are surrounded by a lot of gadgets, right? They are all knowledge, information. We are now in Industrial Revolution 4.0. There is always this knowledge workers. More in any industry is now more bent towards kind of understanding with the data that we have and making it better. Classic examples are the Googles that you see. You are based on your search patterns, there will be recommendations made based on your shopping criteria. Some recommendations would be sent. All those things are based off of your interest, that are captured and understood and given back to you in a form which makes it more easier for you. That's the articulation we are talking of. There are systems that are doing that for you, but there are people behind who built the logic for that. It's the same thing, articulating what you are thinking and taking it to the people, and then people translating it to, say, a program, or people translating that into a product, or people translating that into a solution. All that happens with good articulation. Good articulation will need better clarity on thoughts, better clarity in terms of purpose, better clarity in terms of alignment of how we need to do. So there is more on that, which I'm pretty sure will be covered as part of, as we go through the curriculum during the course of this week. While I talk about kind of alignment and agreement on the articulation of the ideas, there are always bound to be people who have different ideas, right? There are ways in which you resolve contradictions. The ways to resolve contradictions comes through arguments, right? Arguments are, you are putting your points across to the other person in a way that they can translate it into their thoughts, and whether they agree or not, they will come up with their counter arguments. So being able to articulate and then if there are different points of view, being able to argue about each other's points of view, and coming to the first bullet out here, the align bullet, is what is one of the key requirements that we see in the industry that we work in. We don't always align because as individuals we have our own perspectives. As individuals we have our own views of how things should be, right? End of the day, we have to articulate them. Should be able to argue and come to a conclusion on that and achieve things together. So in the whole gamut of communication, there are multiple A's. I just put a few of these. There are many other theories as well. Some of these basic needs need to be met, and people need to understand these tenets of communication to be able to move forward. And one of the key things we are seeing in the corporate sector is people have thoughts. People cannot translate that thoughts that they have into a communication medium or a mode which is well understood on the other side. So having theoretical or having the practical or theoretical knowledge of a subject is one side of the story. The technical depth is what we call them. The other part of the story is how are we able to communicate, articulate that to the take it to a point where it can be either productized or an idea can be agreed upon to take it to the next levels. To be able to do that, we are looking at uh, the students of the colleges coming out to be able to articulate, to be able to clearly tell what they are thinking in a form that is easily understood. Right? While I talk of these, there is always this. I was running through the same dilemma in my head. That's why I thought I'll put this out. There is always a need to balance this, right? The balance is how do I communicate effectively? Because when I am communicating, I have to have a medium through which I can do that. And the medium through which I do that is the language, right? But more often than not, if you take all our curriculum, you take the school curriculum and then go into the degrees and the polytechnics, we get to see people pushing harder on understanding the language because it's easier. It is quantifiable. Language has a pattern. There is a grammar. So it's easier to push along those lines of telling this is how the language should be used. But I can use my language, but if I cannot talk through my feelings, emotions, or if I cannot argue to my points, if I cannot be agreeable on my points of view, the language, however beautifully it is crafted, doesn't reach the other end in a way which is effective to make that idea successful. Right? So it's an eternal balance. It's a very good balance that one needs to have. We need to build a language as a carrier of the information which carries the communication detail to the other end where it is consumed, and if understood right, implemented. If it's consumed and not understood right, there is a way to back and forth exchange those ideas and be able to still get to the successful outcome of that. So it's a very balance act that we need to keep in mind while we talk of being very effective in communication. We also need to make sure that there is language is a medium and it's a communication aspect. So keeping an eye on that, but not the full eye on that, is very critical. There are many employees that I have. There are many college students that we have interviewed who come with great thoughts, ideas, and the language of communication, say in fortunately, unfortunately, the language of communication in the industry has been English. So many people have struggled to articulate their thoughts in their non-native language. But what as an organization we have done in that process is we look for if the person has difficulty communicating through language which is becomes a barrier for them, we look to get get behind and understand the idea that the person has with respect to communicating their thoughts. So many a times we have gone back and asked them to speak in their native language, and there have been, in our interview panel, there have been people who have uh, a good understanding of that language too. So we have been able to get them. Very recently, back this May, when we went to a campus recruitment, we had one person who was struggling in articulating her project idea. So one of our interview panelists kind of gave a helping hand, stretched out, and said, if you would want to talk about this product in your language that you are more comfortable with, we will be able to understand this better. And she did. She spoke in Kannada. ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು, and the project idea that she had, it was very, very that's when we realized that some of the people who come into the industry may not have had a great experience with respect to language exposure, but they have great communication. They have an ability to articulate them in different languages. So our idea should be to get the idea out. Our idea should be to be able to get their thoughts in a form which can be communicated effectively. Language should be used as more of a carrier of that information for us to be all successful. And while I was thinking that, how could we make this better? The one aspect that came to my mind was the butterfly effect. So I've been talking all along, so I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to ask some of the audience there if any of you can speak for the butterfly effect in a few sentences. Can you hear me? Any of you in the audience, can you? Okay.
What is the butterfly effect? There are many cinemas also nowadays.
Okay.
Takes different forms. Evolve. Evolve. Yeah. Evolution from larva to evolve from one stage to another. Yeah. What else?
And also spreads the food from one to another.
The carrier. Achal, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So the butterfly effect is how very small changes can have a very wide-reaching impact on how things happen. This part of the chaos theory. If you are interested after the class, maybe you can go look up on YouTube the chaos theory. The butterfly effect stands for how very small changes can have a large impact on how things happen. The butterfly effect came to being for two reasons. One, there was somewhere in the South America region, there was this butterflies which were flapping their wings, and they were able to relate this to a tornado happening in some other part of the world. So from there came this butterfly effect theory. But the way to look at this is how small changes can have big impacts on how things can improve for better, or things can go worse. But we are talking here about how things can do better. The typical examples are, one example I can think of is Akshay Patra scheme. Ad ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ISKCON temple ಅವರು. They started with a very humble beginning of kind of being able to feed students so that they don't drop out of the school. They can come into the school and at the same time not miss out on their lunches. They did some amount of study to figure out how it affects the participation of students in the school. So they started feeding the children, so the parents didn't have to worry about going and earning more to feed, and hence if they can't, they were putting their children in labor. So all those things, they thought that, and they built this midday meal program. And as you might have seen, right, the midday meal program not only encouraged the students to come in and study and learn, but education is a foundational pillar, right? the children who study and who have interest to study further, with further enablement, they become well educated and they become employable. They get a job that uplifts one family. If you look at it doing it for 10 families, 10 families are uplifted in a village, the village gets uplifted a little. Then if there are 10 villages in a town that get uplifted, the town gets uplifted. That way you're seeing the impact, right? It's a multiplier effect. There is a lot of multiplication factor that comes in and builds that. Why am I bringing this butterfly effect here? I'm going to cover that a little more, one or two more parts, and then come to the butterfly effect in a subsequent slide. Okay, so we keep talking about communication as a skill, right? It's almost, to me, while I was looking at communication as a science form, where there is a framework, this is how verbal communication happens, this is how non-verbal communication happens, this is how written communication should be. There is method to those madness with respect to communication, but how you communicate depends on how well you're received on the other side. Particularly in our industry, in the industry where the attention spans are less because there are so many things to be done, um, each person will be thinking multiple things. There will be, or each person's thought process will be different, how they comprehend will be different. So treating communication like a science form is a little more limiting. And hence I do also think, when you're looking at building communication skills amongst the student, treat it like an art form, because to each person it is different. You show a piece of art to somebody, they may look at it and have a different kind of appreciation. Somebody else may see something else which you may not have seen. So each person has a unique way to look at it. Similarly, communication also is, each person who is receiving it or each person who is delivering it may have different styles and different ways in which they talk through this. So treating communication more of an art form rather than one broad brush of this is how we'll need to do it across everybody needs to be considered when you're looking at it from a industry perspective, because industry again is now a very diverse set of people. There are students who just passed out of college who come into the industry. There are people who have worked in the industry for 30-35 years. Then there are male population, then there is female population. Now with more inclusion drives happening across the industry, there are people we are looking to bring in, especially abled people as well. We are trying to bring in people from different ethnicities. There are people from across the country with different regions, different cultural beliefs. They're all coming. Each one's thoughts, the way of comprehension will all be different. Why that? Even within the individual, depending on the time of the day, depending on the thoughts they're going through, they may think about things differently when they look at the same communication, right? So all of these tells us communication is as much as an art form as it is a science form. So there are parts in which we learn about how to communicate. There are parts in which we talk about how to make it effective. Things like formal communications, like writing letters, writing emails, there is a method to it. There is a science form to it. Then there are, when you're talking to people at different times of the day, different situations, things would be different. So treating communication as not just as a science form, but also an art form will blend in well to an industry where different people with different beliefs, culture come in and work together. And last but not the least, language is a factor too. There are many people who understand certain languages better, certain languages not so much. Particularly English as a language may not be as solidly comprehensible for many people. So it is a factor in the communication, but not the factor. I'm sure what we have covered, what I have talked about from an industry perspective, is more of, we are looking for people who can communicate effectively. Not just the language is just a communication mode, method. We don't expect them to be grammatically 100%. We don't expect them to be be the poets of the world. We don't want them to write an artistic letter kind of a thing. We want to be able to have them put their thoughts across in a way which is very clearly thought out. Precise thinking, clear idea submission, and being able to argue in a way which makes it better for everybody to understand and comprehend. So when we talk of all of these things, we're talking of many things that are superficially visible, right? There is quite a lot of things which are underground as well, which we don't know, which in general the schools, the colleges don't teach as much. We talk about the technical skills, we talk about skills which with respect to language, we talk about skills with respect to the subjects, particular subject areas, particular topics within the subject. We don't talk about how that gets over to the other side. The language part of it is what is largely visible. How do we train the part that is beneath? Of how do we talk about thinking? How do we talk about comprehension? How do we build the confidence in a person to be able to stand up and be able to articulate, right? Communicating effectively is as much a confidence aspect as it is with respect to understanding the subject. One may understand the subject so very well, one may understand the context of the conversation very well, but get on the stage, get into a stage fright, and being not able to articulate, forget topics, forget bullet points you wanted to talk about. If you're not able to articulate them with confidence, the other side of the other parties on the other side who are listening into you or who are seeing you may not be able to relate to what you are saying. So what lies beneath is also something we need to keep a watch on as teachers, as trainers, as people who want to build the next generation employees, entrepreneurs of the country. We need to be looking at how uh, well we can also build their comprehension ability. If somebody is saying, I need to be able to relate to it, I need to be able to translate that into my head in the right form, and then be able to put back my thoughts. So comprehending well, having the confidence to be able to communicate that, and being articulative are also things that, though they lie beneath and not visible, should be built in. What we also see is a lot of people come in with, even in the subject matters, right? In the technical aspects of the subjects, people would know theoretical aspects very well. When you put them into practice is when you know what you studied in theory, how it gets applied in practice. It's the same thing which we need to apply with respect to communication skills as well. The more you practice, the more you make your students practice and be able to put them in front of a larger crowd, that's when you see that they'll be able to succeed better in the world of tomorrow, or today for that matter. So being able to go underneath, being able to see what is lurking there and what needs to be fixed to make it even better for the next generation of the students is another expectation we do feel the industry as such would need to build the industry of tomorrow. As I see you, you are the ones who are building these teams. Cricket is the flavor of the past couple months, so I just thought I'll put this content here. We are looking to build the teams of tomorrow. As you see, this is the India under-19 team, which lost in the finals, by the way. A few of the folks out here have made it to the Indian teams, have made it to the various IPL teams. What we are looking at is, we are looking at building the teams of tomorrow. We are looking at them built with strong fundamentals, being able to articulate themselves and being confident, right? You have to be confident, we have to be able to clearly think, you have to be have some strong fundamental with respect to communication, be it with respect to subjects or communication, both are required. So for a new India needs new thinkers, new leaders. To think well, one needs to have strong fundamentals. To to think well isn't enough. To be able to articulate that, one needs to be confident. To build those engineers and leaders and entrepreneurs of tomorrow, we need the butterfly effect. This team, which is gathering here today, has come together to mark the beginning of such, right? Of beginning of building the engineers, of building the employees, of building the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. You all come together with a purpose. You are the initial butterfly flutter, as I see it, and you staying together, working through this workshop, or this training sessions over the next few days, staying together, learning from each other, making progress, and then after your training, being able to go back to your colleges, being able to articulate them to your students, bring up the what lies beneath the iceberg up, and tell them and teach them how to be successful, how to be articulative, how to be able to do better, is what I see all of you in the room become the cause, or become the butterfly flutter, which will cause a butterfly effect going forward. I also feel this team should have one dream of bringing the engineers of tomorrow, bringing the entrepreneurs of tomorrow together, work well as a team, as a family, and make this happen. And as an industry, we are looking for the teachers who bring the engineers, entrepreneurs of tomorrow into the world, which will make a difference not just for us, for us as in our country, but also for the rest of the world. The entrepreneurs of tomorrow are going to be will need to be articulative, will need to be successful by effectively communicating their thoughts clearly, getting a buy-in from all the people they communicate to, and make it happen. And I see this team be the butterfly team, which will cause the butterfly effect and make that happen. As an industry, we look forward to all of you bringing the engineers and entrepreneurs of tomorrow into the world, and making us all successful. This was the industry perspective I had with respect to how these trainings would be very useful in bringing up the engineers and entrepreneurs of tomorrow. I'll pause here. If you have any specific questions for me, I'm more than happy to take. Sorry, I went through a little bit of a monologue here, thanks to some of the technology issues. If I were in person, it would have been a much more one-on-one interface. So I pause here. If you have any questions, or if you want me to talk about anything more specific from my experience, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah. Questions? Well, no questions, Achal.
Okay.
Thank you. And thanks for sharing a perspective that gives us. You've actually laid down a mountain of what we had expected.
Okay.
But the anticipation is to get there. We made the first small, minute change and hope to get that percolated across the system. And I
Okay.
guess this time we'll get to meet the expectations of industry.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, and all the best to all of you, and looking forward to many more successful ventures like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.